This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes, and if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Like the podcast. Nailed it!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 4 of the Hawk's Eye View. My name is Drew Shipley, co-host Andrew Barber with me tonight. How's it going, Andrew?
Hey, it's a great night. We've got college football starting up tonight, and I couldn't be more excited. It feels like the season is really here. We had week 0, but we're really starting to get started now.
Week 1 is here, ladies and gentlemen. We are pumped. And Kinnick is going to be pumped up here in week 1 facing Utah State. We do have beat writer Jason Turner joining us on the show later. But here on the opening drive, Andrew, let's talk about what Three Beards Media launched this morning.
Yeah, Three Beards Media, we launched our new shirts, our Not Lady Sports. It's a great effort by both Iowa State and Iowa to bring about equality in sports and not refer to ladies sports as ladies sports. It's just sports, right? And so really good cause. If you buy an Iowa State shirt, it goes to the We Will NIL Collective. If you buy an Iowa shirt, it goes to Herkies and our good friends at the Hot Mess Happy Hour, specifically Amy and Holly, put that together for the Iowa side of things. And Chris Shipley obviously had a big hand in the Iowa State side of things. So go ahead and check out Three Beards social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you like to go on. Check it out. Really cool cause, and order your shirts. So
yeah, let's create a little friendly rivalry with our fellow Cyclone fans. They're already getting some big numbers there on their Cardinal and Gold shirts. Let's boost our numbers up in the black and gold and support women's sports. Andrew, the season is here. You have any opening thoughts on what to see with Utah State?
I really think it's about Iowa and what we're going to see from Iowa in this game that a lot of people are curious about. A lot of those that are listening to the podcast are curious about. We did get the confirmation that Kirk Ferentz expects Cade McNamara to play, so we will see Cade in some capacity, barring something unforeseen on Saturday. And I think that's really what people are excited about, want to see, is how does this offense look on Saturday, regardless of the opponent. They just want to see something, some sort of signs of life after last season. So I think that's what I'm excited about, and I just want to see Cade in his first start as the Iowa quarterback.
You know, traditionally, Andrew, we have a hard time looking very good in the non-con, especially the season openers at home in Kinnick. I'm with you. I want to see firing right away. Cade McNamara, his leadership, and I'm kind of curious as how many QBs we are going to see from the University of Iowa on Saturday. I have a feeling that we might see all 3 at some point Saturday afternoon.
Certainly possible. I think we're going to see 2. Don't know about 3, but I think we're going to see 2 quarterbacks on Saturday. So with that being said, is it time for us to go ahead and go behind enemy lines here and bring on our resident Utah State expert, Jason Turner?
Let's fire it up, Andrew.
All right. We have Jason Turner from the Herald Journal out in Utah. He is a Utah State football beat writer, and he has so graciously decided to join us. Welcome in, Jason. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys?
Doing great. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Jason, we're going to turn it here to first down. We're going to go first down through fourth down here with you. Blake Anderson enters his 3rd season as the Utah State head coach, coming off back-to-back bowl appearances. Despite starting the 2022 season 1-4, The Aggies do return incumbent starter Cooper Legas, but do lose all Mountain West receiver Brian Cobbs and stud running back Calvin Tyler. On the defensive side of the ball, they're looking to improve on that 11th-ranked Mountain West defense, but help is coming via the transfer portal. Jason, give us a general outlook on your 2023 season for the Aggies.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people don't know if they can really answer that right now. There's so many new players on the roster this year, 59, in fact, which is tied for the 6th most nationally among the 133 FBS programs. So it all depends on how well these transfer portal guys, there's a lot of JUCO guys too, honestly. They brought in a lot of JUCO guys. How well they coalesce with the returners, how well some of the redshirt freshmen perform this year. I don't know. I mean, it worked really well in 2021 when the Aggies went 11-2 and won the Mountain West title, coming off just a terrible, COVID-19 shortened season. But I don't know how well you can really assess how anything in 2020 went because nobody was on a level playing field. But last year, the expectations were high. They brought back a fair amount of starters from their, Mountain West championship team, and the injuries came. They suffered a lot of injuries last year, and some of the transfer portal guys maybe didn't fit in as well as they did the previous year. You lose some games at the beginning of the season, and things go downhill in a hurry. Not that it was a terrible season, but 6-7. This team has been used to going bowling ever since 2011. So I would say last year was definitely not what Aggie fans anticipated.
Yeah, kind of building off of that, Blake Anderson is taking over play calling this year. You also have Joe Cawthon coming in as defensive coordinator, was defensive coordinator at Arkansas State, and I believe was with Blake Anderson at that stop. So they're reuniting. How do you think that the change in both, who's calling the plays, because your co-offensive coordinator left for, correct me if I'm wrong, the NFL.
Defensive. Yeah.
Defensive coordinator. Okay, I've got that flipped around. Yeah, you had a co-offensive coordinator situation last year?
No, Anthony Tucker was the offensive coordinator the previous 2 years.
Okay, got it. But Blake is taking over plays this year.
He's taken over plays. Wide receiver coach Kyle Cephalo has been promoted to co-offensive coordinator, so that he has that in his title now.
Got it. So how do we think that kind of change in the coaching situation will impact the season for Utah State? Will there be a different look on offense and defense? Will Joe Cawthon want to implement something new that wasn't there before last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a different look. Offensively, with Blake Anderson calling the plays, I just think last year the Aggies didn't really spread the field as well as maybe they could have. A lot of sideline rest. It maybe used the middle of the field like they could have. And I know fans have been clamoring for them to use their tight ends more, and that's been a point of emphasis this offseason. And they have some experienced tight ends. The problem is, are any of these guys going to be healthy? The starter is definitely the two main guys from last year. The one guy, Josh Scherzer, for sure won't play against Iowa, and Brock Lane is questionable, and I've heard more like doubtful. So I don't know. Aggies might be trotting out a true freshman at tight end against the Hawkeyes, but I really think they're going to spread the field better this year, and they have some guys that can definitely do that. You got Terrell Vaughns back, was a JUCO All-American in 2021, and he really had a strong second half of the season last year. Ended up catching 56 passes, 6 touchdowns, had a kickoff return for a touchdown against Weber State. He's 5'7", but he's pretty electric. He's quick, low center of gravity. The Aggies have another guy like that this year in Micah Davis, who played at Iowa Western last year, helped the Reavers win a national championship. He was a big time playmaker for Air Force back in 2021. In fact, really kind of kicked Utah State's trash in that game, that shootout game in 2021. But I mean, they're going to line him up in the backfield, jet sweeps, outside receiver, slot receiver. He's going to get the ball out. He's going to return kickoffs and punts. I think Colby Bowman, the graduate transfer from Stanford, is going to have a play a big role in the outside receiver position. I think they have weapons. I was encouraged by what I saw from them during both fall camp scrimmages, but fall camp was closed. I didn't actually get to see any of the practices, so I'm basing a lot of what I'm saying off of both fall camp scrimmages. But I really do think they're going to be better offensively this year, as long as their offensive line comes together. I don't know how well that will manifest itself against Iowa, but I do think they're going to be better offensively.
Got it. Well, that is a very comprehensive preview there. And my next question here on second down for you was, what is the sort of perceived strength of both the offense and the defense, and where do you think Utah State will be able to best sort of attack Iowa on both sides of the ball? What do you kind of see as their sort of game plan, if you will, going into this game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's always going to start with how well you protect the quarterback. I think Cooper Legas he's a talented quarterback. He's a good athlete, can run the ball enough to keep defenses honest, and I think he has a pretty good big play threat with his deep ball. How well is the offensive line going to be able to keep Iowa's defensive line out of the backfield? I have no idea, and I don't think Utah State knows, honestly, and we're going to find out a lot on Saturday. I really think the Aggies feel like, especially at the slot receiver position, they can make plays against anybody on their schedule as long as Legas has time with Vaughn and, like I mentioned, Vaughn. I mentioned Micah Davis. Also, Kyle Van Leeuwen's coming back from his ACL injury. Kyle Van Leeuwen's a guy, fall camp of 2021 and 22. I mean, he was making all sorts of plays during fall camp. Even when they had Devin Tompkins and Derek Wright and Brandon Bolin, he looked really good. But those guys played so well that he didn't see much playing time in 2021. And then he was a main guy last year, but blew out his knee game 3. So they have some weapons in the slot, quick, shifty guys that I think the Aggies definitely feel like they can make plays. I think the Aggies feel good about their running back room right now. They lost Calvin Tyler, and that was a big deal. But Robert Briggs had a few really good games as a true freshman last year. I think both junior college transfers they brought in, Rashul Faison, I'm sure I probably slaughtered his name, and Devon Booth. Booth was an All-American last year, rushed for over 1,400 yards, and gosh, I'd have to look. It was a lot of touchdowns. But I mean, I think those guys are more than potentially serviceable backs. So I do think the running game is actually, it could even be improved maybe. I don't know if any of those guys are as good as Tyler, but I think between the 3 of them, they're going to take a lot of pressure off of each other. Defensively, I mean, I don't know. It all depends on how quickly they pick up on Joe Cotham's scheme. It's a little bit different than it was under Ephraim Banda. I think that there's going to be more blitzes. I think there's more nuances to the defense. Everyone keeps on saying, including the players and the coaches. A defensive tackle is kind of a position of strength on the team, as long as those guys are healthy, though. That's a big thing. You got Hale Matapuka. I don't know. I only have to spell their names correctly. I don't really have to pronounce it correctly very often.
I was going to leave that name to you. I was going to ask you about his health, but I wanted to leave that name to you. Okay.
But I mean, here's a 3-year starter. He's entering his third year as a starter. He might be the best defensive tackle in the Mountain West as long as he's healthy. Their other starter, Pekesi Vakatua, is also back, plus Seni Tukiao. Those were probably their top 3 defensive tackles last year. They're all back this year. But Matapuka, again, I'm sure I slaughtered that, and Pekesi both missed a fair amount of fall camp with like lingering injuries. I don't think nothing too serious, but I don't know how I don't know about their depth. Mainly improving guys there. Defensive end, I mean, they lost 3 guys to the transfer portal. Their 3 most productive defensive ends a year ago are playing at Power 5 conference programs now, so that's completely untested. Linebackers, I think your top 2 linebackers are good. MJ Tafisi last year, a Washington transfer, was having a really big season until he got a stinger against Wyoming in week in the 8th game of the year. I would say week 8, but since there's week 0, I guess which I hate, by the way. I'll piss and moan about that for a second. But he was having a great season, got a stinger, and then he was averaging basically double-digit tackles, had 9 tackles for a loss in just over 7 games, and then they lost him. But all accounts, he's healthy now. Max Alford is a budding star at linebacker. He was the one who filled in for Tafisi last year as a true freshman. So, again, depth, I don't know. Depth is a concern. They brought in a transfer from Washington State who looks really athletic and is pretty big and physical. I do think they have some good players in the secondary. You got Ike Larson. Ike Larson is one of the best defensive backs in the Mountain West, a kid I'm very familiar with. He grew up playing in Cache Valley for a couple of different high schools. He started, 4 games last year, had 4 interceptions, a pick 6, blocked 3 punts, almost had another pick 6. The guy's a playmaker, and he still has 3 years of eligibility remaining. Well, I guess counting this one. And you got Michael Onwenu in the second as a cornerback, broke up 10 or 11 passes last year. I think those guys are proven guys, and I think they brought in some good guys from the transfer portal, the JUCO ranks. Anthony Switzer is back this year. He was going to be the starting striker last year, so combination of a safety and outside linebacker, but he hurt himself in spring camp. They're expecting big things from him. They brought in Simeon Harris from Colorado, who played a lot as a true freshman for the Buffaloes last year. So they do have some guys that I think have proven themselves at this level. Switzer played a lot at Arkansas State before transferring here, so I think the secondary could be a strength. But there's a lot of moving parts, and those guys have to coalesce.
Yeah, so you guys have the striker position, so that's sort of similar to what Iowa would consider the cache. They have they play 5 DBs, 4-2-5 quite a bit, and when they go 4-3, they have their Leo linebacker. So they have a cache/Leo. I would consider the cache kind of the striker position, where they possess the qualities of an outside linebacker, but also a safety. Their main job is to play pass coverage kind of in the slot, and that guy for Iowa is Castro. But it sounds like the secondary is really good for you guys, and then also will be a good test up front because Iowa has a center in their second year, Logan Jones. He flipped over from defensive tackle last year, had a little bit of a struggle because he didn't get to play spring ball, only had fall camp really to prepare for the season last year. So it's going to be a good test for him if Halle is in the game. So I'm really excited to see that. So I hope Halle is in the game because it could be one of the key battles of this game that Hawk fans can keep their eyes on.
Yeah, for sure.
I won't beat you up too much about pronunciations of names, Jason. I came up here and launched the podcast saying Cooper Legis, so it's Lega.
Well, you know what? When Lega had that, you might remember his first ever play as an Aggie was that bomb to Devin Tompkins in the LA Bowl, and the announcers weren't anticipating him playing, and so they slaughtered his name as well. So it's all good. You're not the first person.
Even the pros do it too, so that's good. But Iowa traditionally has a strength in their front four defensively. And the desire for Utah State to spread the ball, across the field, maybe the screen game, running back screen game, wide receiver screen game, we are apt to over pursuit at times in those kind of play designs. Maybe open up something there for their offense, Jason.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think the Aggies, even if the offensive line plays really well on Saturday, are they really going to be able to give Lega time to throw deep balls? I doubt it. They're gonna have to work their way. They're gonna have to earn their way down the field, and that's what Blake Anderson said a couple of different times in Monday's press conference, that they're gonna have to earn everything they get. They're gonna have to. Lega's gonna have to check to a hot route. He's gonna have to throw screens, quick slants, in order to methodically move the ball down the field against Iowa. And that's the thing. It's hard to methodically put drives together against good defenses. Iowa's probably not going to give up many, if any, explosive plays, and so that's what the Aggies are probably going to have to rely on.
All right, fellas, we're at halftime. We're going to hear a word from our friends at Revelton Distillery.
At Revelton Distilling Company, everyone has become a part of the Revelton family. From the Taylors and their daughter who helped perfect their award-winning gins, to the team who installed Lucy, our 33-foot-tall custom-made still, right down to the local farms that provide our coveted corn, and even the cows on those farms who consume our mash byproduct. Want to see the farm to flask come to life? Now you can tour Lucy and find out where we take Iowa's harvest and transform it into our finest spirits. Choose between a 45-minute tour or find out even more by scheduling a VIP behind-the-scenes tour to get the taste of the full Revelton experience. You can visit them at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or find all of Revelton's award-winning spirits at any local grocery or spirits retailer.
All right, guys, we are back from halftime. We are here at third down. Jason, the Hawkeyes have had a history of slow starts and season openers, 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 years. Vegas sees this game as a 23.5-point spread. What do the Aggies need to do to keep this game close? Perhaps maybe win outright, Jason?
Well, for starters, they can't turn the ball over. That was a struggle last year, especially early in the season. I think Aggies threw, 21, 22 interceptions a year ago, and a lot of those were in the first 3-4 games of the season. Finished the season -9 in turnover margin, so they got to play clean. They got to protect the ball, and Legas can't throw interceptions. That's the biggest thing, honestly.
To be fair, you had Alabama on the non-con last year.
That's true, but they also had a 6 and 7 UConn team, an FBS, a good FCS team in Weber State and UNLV. So you're right. They had Alabama, but they also had games they shouldn't have, been that turnover prone against.
Sure.
Is that something that Utah State has typically struggled with, or is that kind of something that popped up last year? Or
you know what? It's been kind of a yearly thing. Blake Anderson's first year, they turned the ball over a fair amount early in the season, and then when they kind of got rolling later in the season, they rarely turned the ball over. Jordan Love, his last year at Utah State, threw a lot of interceptions, but the season before that, they barely turned the ball over. So it's I wouldn't say it's been problematic, but it's been kind of a year-to-year thing.
Got it.
Andrew is our resident Green Bay Packer fan here, Jason. So he wanted to get a Jordan Love reference in there somewhere, and you gave it to him.
There you go.
Thank you for opening the window into questions about Jordan Love. We can just pause the Iowa talk and just start talking about Jordan Love.
You know what? I
put a Jordan Love scouting video.
I haven't watched enough NFL preseason, and I don't watch a lot of NFL, so I don't know how much I would help in that conversation.
I actually went to the Packers-Bengals preseason game in Cincinnati because I have friends who live out there, and I thought Jordan Love looked good and has looked good at points and has thrown some passes that I didn't really expect him to. So I've watched a lot of his highlight tape out of college, so that's my familiarity with Utah State there. So just wanted to kind of get that out there. So you mentioned tight ends earlier in the show, and here at Iowa, we love our tight ends.
Yes, you do.
We absolutely love them. That's probably our favorite position to talk about. But if we had to pick a second favorite, a very close second, it's punter. And I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Because Kirk Ferentz said that Utah State has a very good punter. So I'm wondering what you can tell us about the punting situation on Saturday from the Utah State side.
Well, I can tell you that Stephen Constantly has been the starting punter ever since he stepped foot on campus, I believe, as a 17-year-old. I don't even think he was 18 when he got here as a true freshman, but he started in 2020, was an honorable mention all Mountain West that season, and ironically enough, hasn't received postseason awards by the conference since then, even though he's improved his average year after year. Every year he's improved his average. I can tell you that he punts the ball in a couple of different ways. He's pretty good situationally, and I watched him sidestep a guy last year on what would surely have been a punt block, and so he's got some elusiveness and athleticism to him. He's from Australia, so he grew up playing Aussie rules football. I think even rugby. I'm not sure about soccer, but I think he's a pretty good athlete. But yeah, he's definitely a good punter, and he can do it, and he's a good holder too. I think he's definitely going to be a factor in this game. He's going to have to do his job well in order for the Aggies to have a chance.
I'm not sure if they've announced the Ray Guy watch list. Is he on it? If they have?
I think so. I think they have, and I'm pretty sure I saw a release from USU Media Relations Department.
Okay,
great. Well, hopefully this is like game one might decide who wins the Ray Guy Award this year.
I highly doubt it, but
Tory Taylor versus Constantly, or remind me how you say that. Constantly,
yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to learn how to say his name a little bit better, because Iowa fans will probably, honestly, you might hear some cheers for your punter in the stadium on Saturday if you watch the game, because we respect our Australian punters, because we have one as well in Tory Taylor. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep. Tory Taylor also from Australia, so that's kind of something that Iowa has started doing now. Is they have dipped into Australia to find a punter. I can't really remember them doing that before Tory Taylor, but it seems like something that they want to do within their program. So, is that something that Utah State has done? I mean, obviously they've had Steven for a while now, but is that something that they've traditionally done? Is gone for Australian punters?
No, but however, the last a couple of place kickers ago was Dominic Eberle, who's been kind of in and out of NFL rosters. He's from, is it Germany? So he's from a different country too. But no, it's not really a trend we've seen at Utah State. But the last couple that I can think of from foreign countries have been special teams guys. So
that's cool.
I got one last one here, kind of a 2-minute warning off the cuff question for you, Jason. What does the NIL picture look like for Utah State? They have a collective set up. Here in the state of Iowa, beer is really popular with our collectives here for Iowa State and Iowa. Selling lots of beer here in the Midwest. What's your NIL situation out there, Jason?
Just out of curiosity, am I sounding a little bit garbled on your end? Because that question kind of came in a little bit garbled, I guess.
No,
you sound good, fine. Jason.
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. You know what? I think the NIL is improving at Utah State. It's really just kind of gotten its feet off the ground, though. There's been a couple of different collectives started, but they're actually going to combine. I don't know if they've combined yet, but NIL is a big reason why Utah State lost so many guys to the transfer portal after last season. They lost like 8 or 9 guys to Power 5 programs, and to my knowledge, that was the reason why for I think all of them they were able to get better NIL opportunities elsewhere. So I think they're going to be fine within the realm of the Mountain West. So I think they're going to be okay against peer institutions, but it's something that's kind of a work in progress right now.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of fans don't think about. They think about the money that it takes to bring players in, but there's kind of this NIL. The NIL at Iowa is also big in like retaining players, and so that's something that a school like Utah State is probably going to have to establish over time. Is kind of a fun to like retain their best talent might be an effective strategy. So yeah, it's a crazy world with NIL. Before we let you go, probably should have opened with some of this, but how long have you been covering Utah State for?
I've been the Utah State beat writer at the Herald Journal since 2015. I've been a writer at the paper for 20 years now, but I didn't start really covering college football on a regular basis until 2015. And I still do a lot of high school stuff. We just have a really small staff right now, and so it's definitely a split focus for me. I'll be at a high school girls soccer match tonight. I'll probably write a high school girls tennis story tomorrow. I'll watch a prep football game on live stream. So it's definitely a split focus for me.
All right. Well, everybody listening, go follow the Herald Journal. Jason, we really thank you for your time tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Hopefully our paths cross again at some point in the future with Iowa and Utah State athletics, and we can have you back on the show. Before we let you go, we want to hear a couple things. We want to hear your prediction for Saturday, and we want to hear anything that you have to plug us beyond the Herald Journal or anything you want to plug at all. Go ahead, and now is your time.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have anything to plug, but I guess if I were to be a prediction type guy, it sounds like McNamara is going to play. Is he going to come out guns a-blazing? I don't know. Is Utah State? I have a sneaky suspicion the Aggies are going to be able to. I know Iowa shut out Nevada last year. That was a really bad Nevada team. I think this Aggie team is quite a bit better than that. I'm going to go with 31-14. Iowa could score more points. I know Hawkeye fans have higher expectations this year, but it's just it's got to happen first, right? I don't know, but I think the Aggies are going to find a way to score a couple of touchdowns, but there are too many unknowns on defense. There's going to be 69,000+ people there. I think McNamara. He did have a good 2021 season at Michigan. You got a pretty veteran offensive line. They're going to score more points than they did, against Nevada last year. Let's go 31-14.
Over under set at 45, so you're right on the button right there. So
I guess I'm predicting the Aggies are going to cover the spread. Maybe I'll look foolish. I don't know.
The total points is going to be a wash, is I guess what you're saying. For our listeners out there who care about that sort of thing, not that I do or anything.
Yeah, I don't either, but yeah, some people really do. So
it's a touchy subject here in Iowa with everything that's gone on this offseason as far as gambling goes. So I don't even know if we can talk about it on this podcast, but thank you again. Appreciate it. Wish you all the best, and we'll be following you. So keep on with the good work, and hopefully we meet again.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jason.
You bet.
And now we are going to go ahead and take a moment and hear from Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage.
Are you in the market for a new house and unsure of the mortgage process? Want to know that you have someone looking out for you? Kyle Lehman from Wintrust Mortgage is a down-to-earth, knowledgeable lender who can be there for you in your corner. He can work with you in any of the 50 states and is just what you need to expand your home search. Kyle will work with you through the entire process with little to no work from you. Take the worry of the mortgage process out of the equation so that you can focus on looking for your dream home. Contact Kyle at www.wintrust.com/Kyle-Lehman or call him at 515-473-0546.
Bringing it on back in, and we have reached near the end of our time here tonight, Drew. It's time for the final cut, and my final thought is we're getting Cade McNamara in game one, but it's only going to be for the first half. I think Iowa is going to be willing to put Deacon Hill in the game for the second half, probably play a little bit conservative on offense, although I've heard that Deacon Hill does have a strong arm and does like to air it out. We'll see how much the coaches want him to do that in a game type setting, but I think we're going to see Deacon Hill in the second half. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and say that Utah State does not find the end zone. The under 45 hits. This game is going to end something like 34-3 with Iowa coming out on top. I think it's going to be something like 28-0 at halftime. And then we'll see from there. I think the offense maybe sputters a little bit with Deacon in the second half, and I'm predicting an Iowa win. I don't remember exactly what I said in our season preview, but I'm going to go with 34-3. Nail that under. Iowa football's back, baby.
I'm going to go with my final cut, Andrew. I'm going to follow Jason to the drive for 325. He said 31 points for the University of +6 in the 325 meter. So I'm good with that. I think that is what's going to happen. They're going to be on the plus side of that 325. I think they cover as well. I think it's more of a 31-7 affair, which will sweat out that 23.5 with a 24-point victory. Utah State turns the ball over late in the red zone to secure that spread. That's what I think, Andrew.
I am kind of with you on that. So we're both hitting the drive to 325. Thank you for listening to the Hawk's Eye View podcast. You can find us every Thursday night at around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can also find the audio the next day in all the places that you get your podcasts. We'll have some more content for you as the season progresses, and we'll also have our Saturday post-game show. So tune in, stay tuned. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you, and have a great night.
Good night, guys.